Hi there, my name is Christopher Natsume and I run a studio called BoomZap Entertainment. Recently I uploaded a video where I essentially said that NFTs are a pure scam, blockchain gaming is a pyramid scheme, and play to earn is not only a scam, it's deeply immoral. I stand behind every single thing I said in that video. However, there were a number of people who took issue with various things that I said in that video. And I'm not going to feed the trolls for most of it, but there is one particular comment that came up a number of times that I do think is worth talking about. And in general, I have to say most of the people who brought this up were quite polite, and they seemed to think that I misunderstood part of this whole blockchain thing, and specifically that I had misunderstood the way in which people are trying to use blockchain and specifically NFTs in gaming. And the issue that they took was, I had a long bit in that video, which, by the way, it's linked below if you want to go watch that video. What I said in that video was sort of a long explanation of why using NFTs to move things from, one game to another game was inherently unworkable. And I stand behind all of that. And, there were two sort of big complaints about that. One was that I was creating some sort of straw man argument because that's not actually what developers are trying to do. And two, that what they are actually trying to do is, and I'll talk about this a whole lot in just a second, but what they are actually trying to do is just allow people to own things in one game and trade things back and forth in one game. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I want to talk about the first thing first, the idea that I was attacking some sort of straw man that doesn't exist. If you spend some quality time in the industry, and again, I've been here a long time, you know a lot of people, and I've had a lot of people talk to me about exactly that thing because they're being told by various people that that's the new thing, and particularly that that's what's necessary for making all of this sort of metaverse stuff that people are talking about now, because the metaverse is supposed to be a place where you can bring stuff from one game to another, and we're all going to have, dozens and dozens of developers, all, hundreds of developers all working in the same metaverse, and you'll be able to win things in this one game and bring it to this other game inside the metaverse. And there's a whole world that we could talk about with metaverse and all of it. There's a whole thing there, but the idea that NFTs play any sort of important role in this, I think is mistaken. And if you would like to know why I think it's mistaken, you can go watch my other video. I go into great detail. So let's put that aside and let's get to the point that a lot of people were making, which is what we really want to do is we want to use NFTs to create real ownership of items in a single game. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how useful NFTs are for that. And my argument would be quite simply that it is incredibly inefficient, it's unnecessary, and in fact, it's sort of the byproduct of another scam. And I'll explain that in some detail. But before we get there, I need to clarify two things. One, I need to clarify what it is they're trying to achieve, what it is that they're talking about. And here I'm paraphrasing a number of different people and sort of putting their arguments together. But the general idea seems to be that a number of people think that the value of NFTs is that we can now take an object in a game. Let's say, for instance, a bag in. We'll use World of Warcraft as an analogy again, just because I know everybody knows World of Warcraft. I know it's not an NFT game, and I know it's a old grandpa reference, but I know you all know that game, so it's easy for me to reference it. So let's say you want to have a leather bag in World of Warcraft, and they're saying we want to be able to own that leather bag without the worry that the developer is going to come along and change that leather bag or delete that leather bag, or that they're going to shut down the game and that leather bag is going to be valueless, and all this money that I put into the game and time that I put in the game will be wasted because when the developer goes away, I won't have that thing anymore. That's argument one. The other argument is because I have this in the blockchain and because I'm using a third party for the ownership instead of the developer, I can take it out on the free market and I can trade it with other people for, Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever, and other people can grab that same item and come back into the game and use that item in the game. Okay? So I do want to say right up front, technically that's all possible. You can do all that. There's no technical limitation to allowing you to use NFTs to own objects in games. That's certainly a thing that you can do. But let's talk about a little bit what that actually means, what you actually get out of that. And to understand that, you have to understand at the very beginning what an NFT really is, technically. And we talked about this a little in the last video, but the short version is that what an NFT it is an object that sits on the blockchain that has what's inside of it called a smart contract. And the smart contract is basically a little tiny bit of code. And that little tiny bit of code could be a number of things. It could be a bunch of text document. It could be, a link to some other thing somewhere else. And for the vast majority of NFTs that exist today, what they actually are is a link to an image somewhere in the world. So if you think about the, I don't know, the stupid apes or kitties or whatever the hell people are trading right now, essentially all that's in that NFT is a little code that says, you own this image, link, and you can go to the link and you can see your image and, oh, that's my dumb, stupid, auto-generated ape, right? That's what most NFTs are. But there's nothing that stops us from creating a smart contract that says that what you own is this leather bag in World of Warcraft. But here's the problem. And this is not like an opinion or something. This is literally technically how all this stuff works. Because the way the blockchain works, the whole concept of the blockchain is that we're going to take an object and we're going to copy it many times, thousands of times around the internet. And all of those copies have to sort of agree with each other. That's how we know that a thing is valid on the blockchain, because it's a ledger entry in a ledger that's kept by so many people. And because it's kept by so many people, it's impossible for me to change all of those. So no one single actor can go in and adjust something and make it bad, because there's thousands of other copies that'll say, that one copy that got adjusted is bad. That's illegitimate. That's the way blockchain works, right? And NFTs are part of the blockchain. So if you're going to copy something, God knows how many times across the internet, the bigger it is, the more problematic it becomes. And we don't actually have a hard technical limit on that. You can put whatever you want in the smart contract, but because making something that's quite big is going to be quite heavy, and it's going to, cause problems out there when you put it on the blockchain, because everyone's got to copy your crap, we actually have a cost associated with it. And that cost can be quite high. When you're talking about 1 meg worth of data, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars on Ethereum. And we don't actually know how much that cost is, because it's fucking cryptocurrency, which means it goes up and down radically every day. You literally don't know minute by minute how much it would cost to mint something that was 1 meg in size. So what we have to do is we have to make whatever goes in that smart contract quite small. And for those of you who don't know how big things are in games, 1 meg in a game is nothing. It's the size of a sound file. It's the size of one of our smaller textures. So you can't put much in 1 meg. And again, that's tens of thousands of dollars. You couldn't possibly do things that were 1 meg. That's not workable, to use a word. So we have to make what goes in that smart contract very small. And so, again, what you usually get in there is a link to something outside of the smart contract. So in our example of let's have a leather bag, well, what is a leather bag in a video game? What is that object actually composed of? Well, in a video game, that would include the 3D model of the bag. It would include the textures that make the bag look like leather. It would include the animation of the bag opening and closing if it did that. It would include the sound that it makes when it goes into your inventory. It would include the sound that it makes when you use it. It would include an open version and a closed version. It would include, there's a bunch of stuff that goes into a leather bag. And because we now live in a world where the internet will allow you to transfer a lot of data very quickly, and where your computer has a hard drive that allow you to have a lot of data, and we have memory that allows you to have a lot of data, we can make these things quite big, and it's not a problem. But that doesn't fit in a smart contract. You can't put the bag in the smart contract. That's not the way it technically works. So what the smart contract actually is a little code that says you own bag number 7,640, blah, 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 blah. Right? It has some sort of a unique identifier. And that points to that object somewhere on all of the data that I need for that object to exist somewhere on a server, right? So if I'm running my, World of Warcraft like game and somebody says, I've got this unique bag, right? It'll say, oh, that unique bag is of type blah, and here's all the data that goes with it. And that smart contract would have, that little sort of pointer to, here's the data that you need to know about that thing, right? And again, if I wanted to change that, for instance, we upgraded the art in our game and I wanted to make the art across the game look better, I would need to update your bag, right? And of course, I can't go update your smart contract. That's actually the whole point of smart contracts is I can't adjust a smart contract. That's how they work. That's the thing to them, right? That's why they exist, is that I can't go change it. So what I would actually have to do if I wanted to change your object is destroy your current object and replace it with a new object, which of course is going to cost money, right? So of course we don't do that. What we do is we change the data on the server that your NFT is attached to, right? So you don't have the textures and all that because it's way too big and you couldn't fit it there anyway. And you don't even have very much data about, for instance, is it a +5 sword or a +4 sword? Or, because I need to be able to adjust those things to make it work in my game, I can't put that stuff in the smart contract because I can't adjust the smart contract because that's the whole point of smart contracts, right? So I have to adjust it on the server. So now we get to, well, what is it that you're trying to do with these NFTs? Well, the argument is now we own this object and that evil developer or that evil publisher can't come in and do bad stuff with it. They can't take it out of the game. They can't make me not happy about it. Yeah, none of that's true. That's all literally not true because all of the data is on a server. And who owns that server? Well, probably the game developer who makes the game, right? I can do whatever I want to with that server. I can go to that server and I can turn your leather bag into a gold bag. I can remove your gold bag from the game and just say any object like this, we trivially reject it. It doesn't exist in our game. I can make that gold bag, make stupid noises. I can do whatever I want. Right? And you say, well, okay, then I don't want to save it on the developer's server. We're going to put it on another server. Heck, just to make sure that everything's cool, we're going to put it on a distributed server and we're going to have it, in 5 or 6 different locations, like a BitTorrent or something like that. Okay, you can do that. It's difficult and it's unworkable, but even if you do all of that, at some point, whatever this data is, whatever this thing that you've got, it's going to come in contact with my game. And my game is going to have to process that data and understand it. And at that link, I can simply say, yeah, you don't know, right? You think you're going to bring this texture into my game, but no, we're going to change it out with this texture. Or you think you're going to bring that object into this game, but we're not going to let you do that, right? The developer has complete and absolute power here to reject your object, to change your object. You can't do anything about that. And more importantly, people are saying, oh, well, that's not just what I want to do. I want to make sure that if you shut down the game, I still have my object. Okay, you would still have your NFT. That's certainly true. I shut down the servers. I shut down the game. Well, what is your NFT now? It's a code that says you have ownership of this thing that doesn't exist anymore because I got rid of it. Oh, but I put it on a distributed server, Chris. It's not on the developer server. So I still have it. It still exists. Okay, you now have a code that points to a weird ass data structure that is designed for a game that doesn't exist anymore. And there's really not much you can do with that. I guess you have it in the same sense that you have the saran wrap that you took off of your food from the convenience store, but I'm not real sure why you're so excited about that. There's not any intrinsic value to that thing that you still own. All right. Sure, Chris. But what we really want to do is we want to trade. And we want to trade outside of your game because those evil developers are not going to let us trade. Okay, let's talk about that. You certainly can trade in games. I could make a list of 100 games that have auction houses that allow trading. It's been a part of gaming for decades. Ever since we've had multiplayer games, there's been trading. That's not hard to do. And there's no reason why you would need an NFT to allow you to trade objects in the same game. It adds nothing to that process. And in point of fact, it actually makes that process more difficult and more expensive, right? Open up a copy of World of Warcraft. Go look at an auction house. What percentage of the profits of trading objects in World of Warcraft does the developer take? Nothing. They take nothing. It costs nothing. It's a free open market with no taxation. Isn't that what you people want? Right? So if your idea is I want to be able to trade stuff in the game without anyone coming in and messing with me, we already have that. You don't need NFTs for that. You need a database for that. And the developers are happy to provide you with one. I need a drink of tea. All right, Chris. Sure, that's true. But we want to be able to take money out of the game. And that's not what the developers are allowing us to do. If I go to World of Warcraft and I get the best suit of battle armor that's possibly available, and I trade it to somebody for 1,000 gold in World of Warcraft, I can't sell that gold. All right, a couple things there. Number one, Yeah, you can. People have been gold farming for years. You can certainly sell that gold on the open market. That's certainly a doable thing. Now, obviously, developers don't want you to do that, and we can get into the deep economics of why you wanting to sell objects for real money in a game destroys that game's economy and makes that game not fun for people who don't want to play like that. We could get into all of that, and it's all true. But let's assume that wasn't true. Let's assume that the developer was like, all right, let's make a game that allows you to play, allows you to earn widgets and use those widgets to buy things, and then you could sell those things and you could take that out as real money. If a developer wanted to make that, they can't make that without NFTs, can they, Chris? Yeah, they can. They do right now. And for this, you have to kind of open up your mind a little bit and realize that not every game out there is on Steam. Not every game out there has dragons and trolls. There is an entire gambling industry on the internet that allows you to gamble with real money, which allows you to bring real money into the game, buy objects, in this case, coins or chips, right? Allows you to play with those chips. You can go play blackjack or poker or whatever, and the value of your chips can go up and down based on how you play in your poker. And when you're done, you can cash out your chips and you can take your money home. That all exists right now. No NFTs required. No cryptocurrencies required, no special smart contracts required. You can do it with your Visa card right now. Within the next 5 minutes, you could be happily gambling away on any of 100 online casinos. And they make a lot of money. It's a profitable business. But Chris, we don't want to run a casino. We run a RPG. We want to run a game, etc. Fine, do that. My point is, if you want to have the technical architecture to allow people to come into a game, play a game, make money in that game, take money out of that game, all of that exists literally right now. There is nothing stopping you from building that right now. There's no need for NFTs. There's no need for blockchain. All of that works, and it works better than blockchain does. It works better than NFTs do. You don't have to get into some funny currency. You don't have to pay gas fees to anybody. It literally all works. Now, we do need to get into the question of, well, why haven't we done that yet? So if Chris is right, and if you can have all the architecture for real money gaming, which obviously exists, real money gaming exists. They have conventions, they have companies, they're worth millions of dollars. It's totally a business. Why hasn't real money gaming entered our game world of fun RPGs and collectible objects and that sort of thing? Well, here's the thing. If you're gonna make a casino, the economics of a casino are such that it is zero sum, right? In a casino, there is no way for anyone to generate wealth. X number of people are going to come to a casino with some money, and they're either going to take that money home or they are going to leave it at the casino. And one of those players, of course, is the casino. It's the house, right? And so the casino is going to invest money. The players are going to invest money, but no money is actually created through this process. It's just moved. Sometimes the casino makes money, sometimes the players make money. And the casinos sort of adjust the rules and such so that over, a million or so bets, they make more money. But no money was created here. Nobody went and played poker for 20 hours and now the world has $20 more than it had before. That math doesn't work. And just because we change the game from blackjack to Axie Infinity doesn't change the core basic idea that sitting and playing a game does not, as of itself, generate wealth. It doesn't make money. Now, it could convince other people to come in and put more money into it, but it, as of itself, doesn't generate money. And so when I talk about this all being a scam and a pyramid scheme, that is exactly what I mean. The only reason that we believe that a bunch of people playing these games under these crazy scholarships or all that other foolishness, the only reason we think that they're building value is because they say, well, I came in and I played for X number of hours and I made money. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. There are people in the Philippines right now that have spent the last few months grinding away, making money, and they have money in the bank to show for it. That certainly did happen. Nobody can deny that. The question is, where did that money come from? And the answer to that question is, they made that money when they sold the things that they grinded for, when they sold the things that they made in the game to other people who believe that it will have more value down the road. All we've done is talked other people into coming and betting money. And so what we've actually built is a casino. Now, nobody wants to call it a casino because it sounds uncool, but it's a casino. And what we're doing with all of these grindy gamers that are coming in and building value in the game, they're not building any value. All they're doing is bringing other people to come in and invest money, because that's the only way they cash out. They only cash out when they sell the stuff that they made. And when they sell the stuff that they made, those other people are putting more money in. But at some point in this process, basic economics tell us that the demand for these objects will collapse. And when the demand for these objects collapses, the things that they've created, the bullshit digital widgets that exist in our game, have no intrinsic value. It's not like a house or a car or I don't know, a fruit orchard or something else that they could have invested their time in that would have actually produced general wealth. It is the only wealth that exists in it is the belief that somebody else down the road will buy it. That's actually the definition of what they call a bigger fool scam. That's literally what that is. The idea that I will invest money because I believe that the value will go up, and the next person down the road will pay more money because he's a bigger fool than me. That's literally, this whole thing is literally the definition of a bigger fool scam. So when people say, Chris, how dare you call this all a scam? It's not all a scam. No, it's literally the definition of a textbook scam. That's what it is. Now, I guess if that's what you want to do, go do it. But let's call it what it is. This idea that somehow NFTs are going to revolutionize gaming, or they're going to add something new to this world that we've created that has value, that's incorrect. All of the things that people are telling me that they want to do. Oh, I want to have ownership of this, and I want to trade this, and I want to have, we can do all of that right now without cryptocurrency, without NFTs. So this begs the question, why are people interested in this? Why are people pushing NFTs? Why are people pushing cryptocurrencies? Well, there's a really, really simple answer to that question. And, Occam's razor, sometimes the simplest answer is obvious, because you have to buy cryptocurrency to do it. We live in a world right now where there is a bigger scam than free-to-play gaming happening, and the bigger scam is cryptocurrency in general. And by the way, I just explained it. It's a bigger fool scam, right? The idea that a currency can go up 50%, 100%, 1,000% in value. There's people that invested in Bitcoin back in the day for like $100. Then now it's supposed to be worth, I don't know how many $1 million. My brother actually, I don't remember back when, but in the very, very early days of cryptocurrency, bought a pizza for what I think is now about $12,000. The idea that a currency can appreciate like that is laughable. Currencies don't work like that. The yen doesn't do that. The dollar doesn't do that. And that's because those are real currencies that are, and I know I'm going to get a bunch of people, oh, they're not based on gold anymore, and it's all just, yes. Currency is all basically a scam, but cryptocurrencies are a bigger scam. They're a bigger scam because they are essentially gambling. They aren't backed by any government, blah, blah, blah. I could get into all of it. There's a wonderful video by Dan Olson that you can watch about all that. But the short answer is there are a lot of people that are very invested in cryptocurrencies, and they need people to go buy more cryptocurrencies, because like any other economic market, the way that you increase the value of a thing is to get more people to buy that thing. And they looked around and they said, where can we get people to buy a whole bunch of cryptocurrency? And lo and behold, here we are, the international game industry that produces vast wealth. We are by far the most profitable entertainment industry in the world, bigger than professional sports, bigger than television, bigger than movies. We produce more revenue than any other entertainment industry in the world. And so we presented this enormous target to the crypto bros, who were like, we could get them to buy a bunch of cryptocurrency, if we could give a small percentage of the game industry revenue to filter through our bullshit crypto scam, we could get a lot of people to buy crypto. And our crypto revenues, of course, will go up. My investment in crypto that I did 2 years ago will go up because all of this game industry revenue is going to be siphoned through this thing. And so they've created this ridiculous fantasy story of NFTs and cryptocurrencies somehow adding some kind of value to any of this for the basic reason that they want you to go out and buy cryptocurrency. It's literally that simple. And anyone who tells you different, they got something to sell you. And that's the thing. I have nothing to sell here. I have a stake in the game in that I'm a game developer and I want my industry to be a healthy industry. That would be great. But I'm not trying to sell you crypto. I'm not trying to sell you anti-crypto points or anything like that. I'm sitting here doing probable real damage to my career talking about all of this. But there are people out there that really want you to buy a lot of crypto, and they've figured out that this sort of weird, uncomfortable way of getting you to buy things or trade things that's entirely unnecessary would be a great way to insert a middleman into the middle of as many game transactions as they can in the game industry, because they see us as an enormous cow waiting to be milked. And as I said in my other video, yeah, fuck you, get the fuck out of my industry, assholes. I mean that in the most strong terms. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say about this. I hope this video wasn't too long. If you have any comments or anything, boom, it's right there below. If there's other questions I can answer, I hadn't intended to make a video series. I'm not going to start a podcast or any other crap. I got games to make, but I'm happy to do a couple more of these videos if there's other stuff that I can help explain. And I did this one particularly because I know a lot of people probably watched my last video and they went and they talked to people and they were like, hey, I watched this guy. He went crazy. He was like this crazy grandpa and he was, and he said X and Y and Z. And, you know, somebody who's invested in all of this, whether they're genuinely disingenuous or whether they're just confused, they came back at you with a bunch of the tired arguments that I just went through, and I needed you to have the correct answer to those arguments from somebody who's not invested in trying to sell you something. So I hope that's helpful to you. Thanks.